Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Young and restless, Sharon/Phyllis kidnapping is concerned. Were the individual behind the abductions merely a big bad, a law and ward? He'd have killed the women against whom he holds a grudge. No, the culprit has another motive, convincing the longtime enemies to put their animosity behind them once and for all. That's why at this point, at the top of our suspects list is, wait for it, Daniel. Sounds not sure, but hear us out. The kidnapper has Sharon and Phyllis playing a game that will allow them to lay to rest past issues, and there are a lot of them. And Daniel created a video game that helped participants improve their mental health. In other words, he knows what he's doing. Plus, the abductor had Sharon and Phyllis call their loved ones to assure them that they were fine. Wouldn't Ian or Cameron have bothered doing that? No, he'd enjoy creating as much collateral damage as possible. You could argue that Daniel wouldn't have the heart to kidnap Sharon after she literally just escaped from the sewer of doom. But we'd remind you that Sharon did dump Heather's body in a lake and framed Daniel for his girlfriend's murder. He could have a few issues to work out too, but he'd possibly see the end as justifying the means, especially if it demonstrates for Lucy that yes, even lifelong nemesis can bury the hatchet. Throwing a monkey wrench into this theory is the fact that this week, Daniel asks Chance to open an investigation. Why, you ask? Would he do that if he was behind the disappearances? Because we reply, he'd want to throw suspicion off of himself by doing exactly what we'd expect Phyllis' suspicious son to do. The sun was setting over Genoa City, casting a golden glow over Newman Tower, crimson lights, and the bustling streets below. Life carried on as usual, at least for those unaware of the shocking drama unfolding in an abandoned cabin miles away from town. Inside the dimly lit room, Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers sat on the creaky wooden floor, their wrists bound together, their eyes wide with shock. The faint flickering of a lantern cast eerie shadows on the walls. But neither woman could focus on that. Their captor stood before them, his eyes dark and unreadable. "Daniel?" Phyllis whispered, her voice laced with disbelief. Daniel Romolotti, her own son, stood before them, arms crossed, a storm of emotions raging behind his intense gaze. Sharon and Phyllis had spent years at each other's throats, warring over men, businesses, and personal vendettas. Yet now, the rivalry that had defined their relationship seemed trivial compared to the predicament they'd found themselves in. "Daniel, what the hell are you doing?" Phyllis demanded, struggling against the ropes that held her. Daniel let out a slow breath, his lips pressing into a tight line. "I didn't want to do this," he admitted, voice low. "But you left me no choice." Sharon shot Phyllis a wary glance before turning back to Daniel. "You're scaring us," she said carefully. "Why are we here?" Daniel's jaw tensed. "Because both of you are responsible for ruining lives, including mine." The tension in the room thickened. Phyllis shook her head in frustration. "That's ridiculous. I'm your mother. Whatever's going on, we can talk about it. You don't have to do this." Daniel laughed bitterly. "Talk? Like the way you've always controlled my life. You think I don't remember all the lies, all the manipulation?" He turned toward Sharon, his expression unreadable. "And you, your constant self-righteousness, the way you judge people, how you think you're always the victim. You both have wrecked people's lives without a second thought." Sharon inhaled sharply. "Daniel, I don't know what you think we've done, but this isn't the way." Daniel's eyes darkened. "I think you know exactly what you've done." The shocking motive. It wasn't just about Phyllis's overbearing nature or Sharon's past mistakes. This was about something deeper, something dangerous. Phyllis, despite her fear, couldn't help but analyze Daniel's behavior. He wasn't erratic. He wasn't out of control. He was methodical, prepared. This wasn't an impulsive act. And then it clicked. "This is about Heather, isn't it?" Phyllis whispered. Daniel's lips twitched. "You always were quick when it came to scheming, Mom." Sharon stiffened. "Heather?" she echoed, confusion etching her face. Daniel nodded. "Heather left because of the chaos you two created. She saw Genoa City for what it was, a vortex of toxic relationships, deceit, and destruction. She knew if she stayed, she'd become part of the endless cycle. And she was right." Phyllis clenched her jaw. "That's not fair. Heather made her own choices." Daniel's eyes blazed. "But you pushed her. You meddled, you twisted things. You always do. He turned to Sharon. And you? You act like the saint, but you're just as manipulative in your own way. Do you think people forget that you always come out looking innocent, while others take the fall? Sharon swallowed hard. She knew she wasn't perfect. Her past was riddled with mistakes, heartbreak, and regret. But had she really caused so much harm that Daniel felt justified in doing this? Daniel, listen to me, she said gently. I know you're angry. I know you're hurting. But this isn't the way to get closure. Daniel exhaled, the weight of years of frustration pressing down on him. Maybe not, he admitted. But for once, you two are going to sit here and think about the consequences of your actions. Escape plan. Phyllis exchanged a look with Sharon. They needed a plan, and fast. Phyllis, ever the strategist, started talking, keeping Daniel engaged while subtly loosening the ropes. You know, Daniel, if you wanted us to reflect, you could have just sent a strongly worded email, she quipped, her tone lighter than she felt. Daniel's lips twitched, almost as if he wanted to smile. Almost. Sharon, catching on, kept him distracted. You're better than this, she murmured. You've always been better than the rest of us. Daniel looked away, conflict flickering across his face. That brief hesitation was all Phyllis needed. With a sharp tug, she freed her hands and lunged, knocking the lantern over in the process. Darkness consumed the room, and in the chaos, Sharon wriggled free, scrambling to the door. Daniel cursed, reaching for them, but Phyllis was faster. She grabbed the lantern and swung it, forcing Daniel to dodge. Sharon threw open the door, the cold night air rushing in. By the time the police arrived, Daniel was gone. The cabin stood empty, the ropes left as the only evidence of what had happened. Back in Genoa City, Phyllis and Sharon sat across from each other in crimson lights, still rattled from the ordeal. Of all people, Phyllis muttered, shaking her head. I never thought my own son would. She trailed off, her voice thick with emotion. Sharon sighed. He's hurting. Phyllis scoffed. Yeah, well, we all are. Doesn't mean we tie people up in the woods. Sharon hesitated. Maybe we do need to take a step back and look at ourselves. Phyllis arched a brow. Are you suggesting Daniel had a point? Sharon didn't answer right away. Instead, she stirred her coffee, lost in thought. Maybe, just maybe, they weren't entirely blameless after all.